Hello Jim, it's Patrick again at Patrick Gamer Golf Instruction. Appreciate you sending me some more video work here. See if we can get you moving in the right direction again. A couple things I saw in your swing, Jim, that we need to address. One's your wrist set. I know you're trying to set it earlier, which it looks like you are, but this wrist set's still not complete. And it's vitally important that we get that wrist set completed, because it helps keep the club on plane, and the forward swing plane, which you'll see here in a minute or two, is way too much from the inside, and a lot of that has to do with your what happens before you get to the top, and how about you getting to the top. Now let's look at a few things here, Jim. First of all, let's put you at the top here. I'm gonna put up some lines here. .100 Now the swing on the left, Jim, is your swing from earlier this season. I think it was late May, early June. I didn't think it was that long, but it's been a while, which is expected. It takes time to reteach muscle memory. Now let's get you at the top up here. Alright, now the swing on the left was from earlier this summer, and as you can see, you have a little bit more wrist set with the swing on the left, and we've got to change that. When we get to the top of the swing, we've got to have probably this left arm and club shaft relationship somewhere in this area. And unless you have a debilitating injury that I'm not aware of, which is possible, but from what I've seen, you got pretty good hand action in the golf swing, so that tells me your hands are in good working order, and more importantly, your wrists. But we got to get that shaft much more at an angle compared to the left lead or forearm there at the top. And again, let's get you set up here at the bottom. This area right here, forearms and hands, try to keep those relaxed. If we can keep that area right there relaxed, especially at the takeaway, you're going to find out it's much easier to get these hands set. When that club is in that position right there, ultimately I'd like to see this kind of a relationship. And of course, when we get it left arm parallel to the ground, ultimately like to see that kind of relationship, so our wrist set is completed before we get to the top, and we're not seeing that yet. And believe me, I understand change. It's not easy when you do certain motions for so many years a certain way. It's tough to change them, and that wrist set drill that I think you've been looking at on my YouTube channel will help. Is it a cure-all? No, but it's going to help encourage new muscle memory, and that's what we're looking for. Now, speaking of the takeaway, let's get you back down to the bottom here. What I want you to realize is when you take that club away, the wrists and forearms do not act independently of each other. And the wrist set drill that I have that you've been looking at completely tells you and teaches your body independently. But again, it's only a drill, so don't get too caught up in the fact that we're setting the hands completely and independently at the start of the takeaway and your shoulders aren't moving, because that's not really what happens in the backswing. It's just a drill, and a repetitive drill to help teach you that it's okay to set the hands. I say that because I'm going to put up another video here of you, and I see you trying to work through the wrist set first and trying to turn the shoulders on the backswing independently. And it's a simultaneous move, that backswing. The start of that backswing, these hands and the shoulders start in motion simultaneously. Just in your case, we got to get those hands a little bit more active, and I think we can do that with a very relaxed hand set, or a grip pressure on the golf club for sure. And again, let's get you to the top. Ideally, we'd like to see in this position 75 degrees, 70, somewhere in there. And if we can do that, by all means, let's get you back here again. we can do that. We could have a little bit more angle here, and believe me, more angle there is going to help create more club head speed. Let's get you an impact here. I want to show you something though that's really good. I don't like to do the doom and gloom. There's a lot of positives you're doing too right now. You can see your spine is on top of that golf ball pretty well. Okay, I don't see a lot of as I call it, the reverse V impact position. All right, which is very common from old school swingers, and I'm in that category too. I've changed my impact position to get more on top of the ball, kind of like what you're doing right now. So there is some good coming out of this. I see more vertical on top of the ball impact position with your irons. I see a little more levelness here, and that's good stuff. That helps encourage better impact position, more solid contact. Now, what I don't see, and again, this is right back to your the master key, if you will, is I think that shaft is almost lost its angle at impact, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that we don't have a lot of angle to begin with. Like I said earlier, your arm is in this position, the shaft's in that position, so it's an obtuse angle to begin with. And let me get you down the line view here. Alright, let me find it. Just be patient here. I got probably way too many videos up here. There we are. I think that's it. Let's put this in motion now. Again, this is your current swing. And that looks pretty good right there on the takeaway. It doesn't look too independent of each other. When I tell people to set the hands early, they get kind of lost in translation where they don't even want to move the shoulders. But it looks like you're doing the shoulders and the hands at the same time, which is excellent. Let's get you to the top though. I'm going to show you a couple things. When we have very little wrist set or no wrist set, and you're in the category of little wrist set, your forearm's here, your arm is there, and with no wrist set, there's your shaft angle. Now, if we had more wrist set, your forearm would be in this angle and that shaft would be pointing down the target line. And that's important to understand because that's going to be the foundation for your forward swing arc. So that gets you going into forward motion here. You can see that club's starting to lay down a little bit. Here, instead of ideally there. And again, this is important because I'm going to get you to the point of what I call hitting your parallels. There are certain points in your golf swing which are checkpoints, and that's when the shaft is parallel to the ground. There is a point in the backswing where the shaft is parallel to the ground twice, and there's a spot or a point in the forward swing where the shaft is parallel to the ground twice. And this is a second point right here, and you can see, let me show you something here. Look where your shaft is pointing. Now that's a little biased because of the curvature of the camera lens, but I'm still going to tell you it's pointing too far right of the target, and that's important to understand this because that is the path your club head is going to take into the golf ball. And I think you said you're using a short iron in this swing sequence, and your path into that golf ball with that club head should be right down that target line for sure. And you can see we're way too far this way. Now, how do we fix that? Well, it all starts at the top of the swing. If we can get these hands set better, your shaft will be more vertical up here. And as you progress into the forward swing, ideally the shaft will be more vertical. And again, that's important because if we keep progressing up into impact, your shaft is no longer pointing. I guess that's probably the wrong arrow to use. Right here. Let me back that up a second. It won't be pointing this way. It'll be pointing this way. And in my opinion, a lot's to do with the fact that we're not setting our hands completely. Number one. Number two, you just have an old school underneath move. like we all did when we were younger, and the people that have good golf swings back in yesteryear have this underneath move, and you're no exception to that. You do, and I did as well, and it's changeable. And I have a drill on my YouTube channel in my instruction site on, it's called How to Cover the Golf Ball, and that's a very good drill I want you to kind of work into, and that's going to get this club shaft more on plane, and it's going to get that club shaft working down the target line instead of this way. Don't mind my artwork there. Let's get you over here on the left for a second. Again, I'm going to show you the impact here because it's a good impact position with a couple of minor flaws. Not really minor, but they are flaws. I like the fact that we're on top of that golf ball, very vertical. I like the fact that our shoulders. In fact, let me get my lines up here. Here you are at impact. There's your back shoulder and your forward shoulder. Where are we? About 10, 11 degrees of tilt. Now, see this? The angle of tilt in your shoulders hasn't really changed much. In fact, I'm going to venture to say it hasn't changed at all from impact to address. That's very good. That tells me you're coming in pretty level, albeit we're coming in way too far from the inside. And I can even see your divots are going out there to the right, and too much that way. Much more hand set on that backswing. And I realize you've been working hard at this, but again, change isn't easy, obviously, especially when you have a lot of repetitive years behind you underneath your belt. And but it's something we can do. Now, I do like your setup position. Let me get you in setup here. I see some angles here that I like to look at. You got your posture here. Alright, this encourages one really good thing here, and that's a vertical arm hang. And that's important because it helps encourage wrist set. But the fact is, you just don't set your wrists early enough, and it's probably something you've been doing your whole life, obviously. At least I think it probably has. And we got to get used to setting them early. Now let's let me get back here to the top of the swing. When you're at the top of the swing, I want you to think, oh, what's a good mental image? Probably John Daly. Now, I'm not talking the length, I'm talking about wrist set. But I want you to over-exaggerate your wrist set on that takeaway, on that backswing. And wrist set, wrist set, wrist set. When we're in this position, put a different color on this. There's your forearm. There's your shaft flex, or your shaft angle. We can definitely do a better job at keeping that angle up in impact. But again, change is not easy, and you are making some improvements, but we got to absolutely set these hands quicker on that takeaway. Keep the hands, forearms, this area right here. Keep all that very relaxed. Your body's a creature of habit. If you start off with a very soft, even too loose of a grip, the first thing that happens is you subconsciously tighten the grip ever so slightly to accommodate the weight of the club, and then set the hands. Those wrists will engage much, much more freely and set if they're relaxed. And again, when we're in this point in the backswing, I want to see that club in that position. When we're at this point in the backswing, when that left arm is parallel to the ground. Let's get back here again. When that left arm is parallel to the ground, we should have that club almost vertical. Ideally vertical, but obviously we not easy to change. we can get it vertical and that left arm's parallel to the ground, that's a huge, huge hurdle to jump and to acquire, but it's something that'll help your game immensely. Now, you know, again, your body's a creature of habit. The fact is, you don't have an angle up here. It's a very obtuse angle. So what happens? Your body tries to make accommodations for the fact that that is a big power source, and you're leaking severely from it. And what goes on here is this. Get to about there. The shoulders kind of quit turning, and all you're doing is lifting at this point. And then you lay the club underneath on the forward swing a little too much, or drop it, hit it from the inside, and hit a big old right to left hook. Or if your timing's not good, you might hit a push fade. But either way, we've got to get much more wrist set, and bear with me. Where'd she go? Here it is. And we got to get this club more vertical on the forward swing. Now again, you're hitting a short iron here. This thing should be, when you're up here in this position, again, this club should be right about there. Now with the driver swing a little bit different, but you got, looks like a short iron. I think you told me you're hitting a wedge. You got to get that sucker way underneath. Or I'm sorry, way more on top. You're getting it way underneath here. Again, hitting your parallels. When that club shaft is parallel to the ground on that forward swing, right there. This club head right here, I'm going to put a little circle around it. That club head, without me being there in person, should be over here. Such that the shaft and the club head will be in that position instead of this position. And that's where your big hooks are coming from. From there, you got to flip the hands this way. Square up the club face, in which it looks like you've been doing because you've been hitting hooks. So a couple things. Keep working on the wrist set. Wrist set, wrist set, wrist set. Keep the forearms relaxed. Keep the hands relaxed. And pick that club right up from the ground. You're watching a good example on TV, especially this weekend with Ricky Fowler. This is a very similar thing Butch Harmon's having Ricky Fowler been working on, is setting the hands early, because you know Ricky's been a one-piece takeaway swinger his whole life, and he's making a big change. He started late last fall, and you know these pros adapt early a lot easier than us mortals, but he's making that change, and it's proven to be very successful for him. Ricky Fowler's starting to set the hands earlier, and you can see it in his pre-shot routine when he's up there waggling. He's consciously thinking about it until it becomes somewhat normal, and that probably won't happen until, honestly, probably next year. And but it's going to make him a better swinger, and it's going to make you a better swinger. Secondly, on that forward swing, let's get this club more vertical on that forward swing, right about here. Got to get this club head more so over here than back here where it is. Way too far from the inside. Again, all that has to do with wrist set. And I want you to think not under. I want you to think over. Now, what you feel and what is real are two different things. I want you to feel like it's over. And what is real is it's probably going to be pretty much on plane. But you got to start thinking this way. You got to start thinking down the line instead of underneath. That underneath move is it's a killer. Underneath move relies greatly on hand-eye coordination on the forward swing. So we're not going to think this. We're going to think this. Again, there's two kinds of golfers out there, Jim. There's the underneath spin flippers and the over-the-toppers. You got yourself too far underneath and spinning and flipping with the hands at impact to try to fix things. We're going to try to get you more on plane. My how to cover the golf ball drill on my YouTube channel, my YouTube, and on my instruction site will help you greatly with that. Back, I'll bring it up here while I got you here listening to me. If I can find it, which I should be able to because I've only got here it is. I'm not sure if you've looked at this yet or not, but this is my over-the-top drill, or as I call it, how to cover the golf ball drill. And it does a couple of things pretty importantly. Unfortunately, I don't have the down-the-line view of this drill. But when you get to the top of the swing with this drill, all we're thinking about, it's tough to explain this from this view, but we're trying to get these hands to travel over the top instead of way underneath. It's going to feel like you're coming way over the top of this drill, and that's kind of the medicine you need right now to help get that club more on plane on that forward swing instead of severely underneath. And again, you can find this drill on my instruction site and YouTube channel, and I want you to watch it from front to end and listen to what I'm saying in there, because it explains in detail what's going on in the swing when we're doing this drill. And let me get this other one up here as well. Nope, that's it right there. That's the set the hands drill, which I think you've been doing. Again, this is just a pre-shot routine. This is a good drill to have in your pre-shot routine too, but don't get caught up in the fact that we're setting the hands independently of moving the shoulders. In this drill we do, for a reason, but during the golf swing they happen simultaneously, and I want you to realize that. But set the hands and then go right to the top. I think one of these swings I set it right there, then we go right to the top vertical. Once we get the hands in that good position off the golf ball, as you can see, my club is parallel to the ground, and the shaft is parallel to the target line. From that position there, it's pretty easy to go vertical with it instead of around and then back underneath. But in any event, I think you get the idea there. Let's again, your impact position is good. I mean, what I mean by that is your sternum's on top of the golf ball, which I like to see. We got to work on your wrist set though, Jim. Keep the forearms relaxed, keep the hands relaxed, and set the hands. And don't be afraid to overset them on that backswing. I want to see this club head, when those forearms and shoulders in that position on the takeaway, that club head should be up here. That's how much set you should have. And then let it keep going vertical on you. And then on the forward swing, we're going to get going right back down that same plane. Ideally, that same plane. Jim, keep working on this. Again, don't get discouraged by not seeing a lot of visual improvements, because I see them. I mean, I got a trained eye, but I do see them. I also realize it's very hard to change, because this is what I do for a living. It's not easy to change, but it is doable. You're flexible. You got good hand action. You got good swing circles. So there's a lot of potential in this swing. You just got to keep working on it, and I appreciate you doing this. Give me a video back or some comments back in a couple of weeks, and I want you to send your next video probably in 3 or 4 weeks. I'm not going to charge you for it, but I want you to send me an updated video probably in 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks tops, and I want to see that down the line view and your face on view with the same club that you're hitting here. And again, I'm not going to charge you for it, because I just want to take a quick pick and take a quick look at it. But keep working on it, Jim. Alright, thank you.